Be reasonable, my mother said, her voice already rehearsed. She has a family. You don't. My father stood behind her, arms crossed, eyes fixed on the floor like this was a math problem he'd already solved. Across the room, my sister cried into her hands, perfect timing, flawless performance. The boy's name hadn't been spoken once. 16. Q's. Expelled. His future erased in a week because my sister needed someone to blame after her lie fell apart. Screenshots twisted. Context deleted. A story told loudly enough that no one asked questions. And now they wanted me to fix it. Just say it was you, my father said quietly. You'll be fine. You're strong. You'll recover. Recover. From a criminal record. From a ruined reputation. From becoming the villain so my sister could stay comfortable. My name is Claire Donovan, and that was the moment I understood exactly what I was worth to them. Not loved. Not protected. Replaceable. I looked at my sister, makeup smudged, eyes dry beneath the tears. She peeked at me through her fingers, waiting for my answer. I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I asked one question instead. If I do this, will you ever tell the truth? No one answered. That silence told me everything. So I nodded. Slowly. Calmly. I'll handle it, I said. They exhaled in relief. They had no idea I wasn't agreeing to disappear. I was choosing a different path entirely. One that would make sure the truth came out, with names, timestamps, and consequences they could never pressure away. And the first step was letting them believe I'd said yes. I didn't go home after that meeting. I went somewhere quiet and started writing everything down. Dates, conversations, screenshots my sister had deleted but I still had cached. I'd learned long ago that truth survives best when it's documented early. The next day, my parents called to check in. Their voices were lighter now, almost kind. You did the right thing, my mom said. We knew you'd understand. I let her believe that. Meanwhile, I requested copies of the school's disciplinary report. I filed a public records request for the messages cited in the accusation. I reached out, carefully, anonymously, to a counselor who'd been involved in the boy's case. What came back made my stomach drop. My sister hadn't just lied. She'd edited screenshots, deleted replies, sent messages from a friend's phone to make it look like harassment came from him first. The timeline didn't just have holes, it had fingerprints. And the school hadn't checked because my parents had threatened legal action. Loudly. Quickly. That night, my sister texted me. Thank you. I'll never forget this. I stared at the words, realizing how easy it was for her to thank me for a sacrifice she wasn't making. I replied with one sentence. I'm handling it my way. She sent a heart emoji. The next morning, I met with an attorney, not to defend myself but to ask one question. What happens if the truth comes out, and it's proven someone tried to frame an innocent kid? The answer was calm, precise, and devastating. That's when I understood something my family never had. Protection has limits, and lies leave trails. The only question left was how public the reckoning would need to be. The attorney didn't sugarcoat it. False accusations. Evidence tampering. Coercion, she said, tapping the file I'd assembled. If this goes forward, it doesn't just clear the boy. It exposes who pushed the lie, and who tried to bury it. I nodded. I want it done right. That afternoon, I contacted the boy's parents. I didn't give my name at first. I apologized. I told them I had information that mattered. We met in a quiet office the next day, and I watched disbelief turn into fury as they saw the screenshots. Unedited, time-stamped, backed up. This is her, his mother said, hands shaking. She ruined him. I didn't defend my sister. I didn't explain my family. I just handed over the evidence and said, you deserve the truth. By evening, my parents sensed something was wrong. Calls came in rapid succession. When are you turning yourself in? My father asked. The school wants a statement. I'm working on it, I said evenly. My sister called last, panic bleeding through the act. You're not talking to anyone, right? I looked at the file name on my screen, disclosure package, and felt strangely calm. I told you, I said. I'm handling it. The next morning, the attorney filed a motion to reopen the case, on behalf of the boy. Names attached. Evidence attached. My signature nowhere near a confession. By noon, the school's counsel called back. Not to threaten. To ask questions. And that's when my family realized I hadn't chosen silence. I'd chosen sunlight. Sunlight is uncomfortable for people who built their safety in shadows. By afternoon, the school issued a temporary pause on the disciplinary action. Translation: they were scrambling. Lawyers started calling everyone, carefully, politely, because the evidence didn't argue. It stacked. My parents showed up at my apartment unannounced. My mother's voice shook. "What did you do?" "I told the truth," I said. My father's face hardened. "You were supposed to protect your sister." I met his eyes. "You asked me to destroy an innocent kid." "That's not what happened," he snapped. I pulled out my phone and showed him one screenshot. Then another. Then the metadata he didn't understand but his lawyer would. The room went quiet. My sister arrived last, mascara perfect, panic leaking through the seams. "You promised," she said. "You said you'd handle it." "I am," I replied. "Just not for you." She lunged for my phone. I stepped back. "You don't have a family," she hissed. "You don't understand what you're doing." I felt something settle, cold, clear. "I understand exactly," I said. "You used that sentence like a weapon. I'm done letting it work." That night, the boy's lawyer filed a civil complaint. The school announced an independent review. The local paper requested comment. My parents' phones started ringing. Not with sympathy. With questions. And for the first time, they understood the difference between protecting someone you love and covering up harm. One is loyalty. The other is complicity. And complicity was about to get very expensive. The story broke the next morning. Not as gossip, as fact. "Disciplinary action under review after new evidence emerges," the headline read. The article didn't name my sister yet, but it didn't need to. Anyone close enough already knew. The timeline was clear. The contradictions were obvious. My parents called in a panic. "This is getting out of hand," my mother said. "You need to stop this before it destroys us." "I'm not the one destroying anything," I replied. "I'm just not blocking it anymore." My sister sent voice notes this time. Crying. Angry. Then bargaining. "I'll fix it," she said. "I'll apologize. I'll talk to the school." "You already did talk," I said. "That's the problem." The school's review moved fast once lawyers were involved. Too fast for stories to be adjusted. IT pulled message logs. Witnesses were interviewed separately. The edits in the screenshots were confirmed. The friend's phone was subpoenaed. By afternoon, the school reinstated the boy pending final review. His parents thanked me quietly. I didn't accept gratitude. I didn't need it. What I needed was accountability. That evening, my father texted a single line, "You've gone too far." I stared at it calm. Because what they called too far was simply the point where consequences begin. And once they start, they don't stop for family dinners or excuses. They stop when the truth is finished speaking. By the end of the week, the school's review became something else entirely. Law enforcement requested the records. That was the moment my parents' tone finally broke. Not angry now, afraid. My mother called whispering like fear could be managed if it stayed quiet. "They're asking about the messages," she said. "About who pressured the school." "I know," I replied. My sister stopped calling me and started calling lawyers. 3 of them. None stayed long. Truth is expensive when it's already documented. The detective assigned to the case asked me one question during my statement. "Did anyone try to convince you to take responsibility for this?" "Yes," I said. "Both my parents." He wrote it down. Slowly. Carefully. That night, my father showed up alone. No speeches. No authority left in his voice. "We were trying to save the family," he said. "You were trying to save one person," I answered. "At everyone else's expense." He didn't deny it. The school issued its final finding 2 days later. The boy was fully cleared. His record expunged. A formal apology released. Counseling offered. Tuition assistance discussed. And then came the letters. One to my sister. One to my parents. Civil exposure. Obstruction. Potential criminal liability. My sister finally understood that tears don't erase evidence. My parents finally understood that pressure leaves fingerprints. And I finally understood something too. Choosing the truth didn't cost me my family. It revealed who had already spent it. The settlement talks started without my family at the table. That was the first real consequence. The boy's parents didn't want apologies. They wanted accountability. The school wanted distance. The district wanted it quiet. And my sister, once so certain the story would bend around her, was suddenly very small in rooms she couldn't control. My parents tried one last time to pull me back in. "This is spiraling," my mother said. "Say something. Anything. You can still help her." I shook my head. I already helped the only person who mattered. My sister was suspended from the school pending outcome. Her phone was seized. Her friends' messages were recovered. The edits were proven intentional. The timeline collapsed. When the civil complaint was amended, her name was added. Then my parents. Not as villains, as enablers. The phrase stung more than any insult. At mediation, my sister finally looked at me without anger. "I didn't think it would go this far," she whispered. I met her eyes. It only went as far as the truth needed to travel. Outside, reporters waited. I walked past them without comment. Because the story wasn't about me choosing revenge. It was about me refusing to be a scapegoat. And the final reckoning was already scheduled. On paper, in ink, with consequences that didn't care who had a family dinner planned. The reckoning didn't come with handcuffs or shouting. It came with signatures. The settlement was finalized in a quiet conference room. Pages initialed, clauses read aloud, responsibility assigned where it belonged. The boy received restitution, counseling coverage, and a written apology that would follow him, not haunt him. His record was cleared completely. My sister wasn't charged criminally in the end. The evidence was enough to make the point without destroying another life. But she lost something she thought untouchable: credibility. Schools declined her applications. Friends stopped answering. The story she'd built no longer protected her. My parents paid the price they feared most. Not money, though that hurt too, but reputation. Their names were removed from committees. Invitations dried up. People didn't confront them. They simply remembered. My father tried to call once more. I didn't answer. I didn't feel victorious. I felt finished. Finished carrying blame that wasn't mine. Finished absorbing pressure dressed up as love. Finished being told my life was expendable because someone else had more. I chose a different path because silence would have made me complicit. The truth didn't make me popular. It made me free. And the boy whose life they tried to destroy walked back into school with his head up, because someone finally said no. That was the price they're paying. And it's the only one that mattered.